Welcome, everybody, to Real Estate Uncensored. Thanks so much for joining us. We live in very strange times, but we're going to have a great time regardless. We've got Michael Hellickson here. We've got Gene Volpe, the evil bald ninja, is here. And we're talking about why now is the time to double down on lead generation. And if you think Greg has some energy, good Lord, our guest today is going to blow him away. I don't even know if Greg is going to look like. Greg is going to look like, if you guys remember the commercials from the 80s of that guy sitting in a chair getting blasted away by a stereo. I feel like that's about what's going to happen to us right now. So we'll bring our guest in a second. First of all, the Junior Grandmaster is in the co-pilot seat where you so belong. This is the epitome of social distancing, Greg. You're on the other side of the state. You are nowhere within arm's reach of me. What's up today?
You are a coronavirus-free zone from me, Johnson. Although if I could, I'd give you a big snuggle bunny hug, and you would like it. Even your cold little heart would warm up just a tad, like a wee or woo, or what is that thing on the Christmas Story? The little wees down in Weeville. Yeah, you'd warm up like one of them. No, but Michael Hellickson's here. You know, working on some great stuff. He walked in and he's like, "What the heck did I just walk in on?" I'm like, the typical banter when Matt's heart is still like a little coal and I'm trying to warm him up, but since Matt channels me, he goes back into being a part of coal, and Gene comes in and just warms us all up with his big, bald, beautiful head. Hello, my beautiful friend.
Buddy. Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome, my friend. But Michael, bro, go ahead, Gene.
No, I was going to say, how's everybody holding up during Corona-geddon?
Corona-geddon. I love it. That's all right. Hashtag. We have to hashtag that. That's fantastic. Yeah, there was an episode of Seinfeld where he started shaving his chest, and then whenever it would grow out, he'd get super itchy. That's what I feel like. Like I've never wanted to go outside into the outdoors more in my entire life than I do right now.
That's hilarious.
You stop peeing in bottles, and you want to go out with the regular public, and now you can't do that because you can do it?
It's changed. It's changing all of us. Like, my wife is actually still working, and she's like, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, "I'm setting up lawn chairs underneath our deck." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I'm going to be drinking wine and smoking cigars later." Like, I'm an extrovert. I love being out and talking to people, but I'm sucking this up, bro. I don't mind it.
Oh man.
Hey, you know what? I'm the same way you
bring
are.
in our esteemed guest. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
No, I'm just going to say I'm the same way Gene is. I'm posted up. I got my cocktails ready. I'm going to sit on my porch and watch nothing happen out in front of me. All my old neighbors, they're like I live like in a retirement community by my mistake, and they're all old, so they hate me and I hate them. And now it's just watching crickets and nothing happens. I'm like, I get the palm trees to myself. No, like 75-year-olds wearing Speedos. This is fantastic. Ooh. I know Matt loved it when he came over. He's like, "Ooh, Speedos on a 70-year-old. Ooh, hello."
Yeah, that's my jam. All right, so Michael Hellickson, founder of Club Wealth, one of the best real estate coaches I know, a fantastic friend and a client. How are you today?
Oh, fantastic. Oh, my gosh. And I was actually pretty emotionally even-keeled right up until we got on this call. And now I think I'm going to need a therapist session afterwards. I don't know, man. This is as soon as you start
it's a
talking
coincidence
old
because
people,
this is our therapy.
Dude,
yeah.
So weird.
As soon as you guys said old people in Speedos, and I don't mean to put this into people's heads, but all I could think of is, for some reason, remember that old commercial? There was the guy going across the lake in the boat, and all of a sudden the wind is he's going so fast, his clothes rip off, and he's down to a pink Speedo. And I'm thinking, dude, that's Greg. Like,
what? What?
Well, it's that peer pressure to fit in with his neighbors. Yeah, he's going out in the Delta in his boat and stripping down to the Speedo. Yeah.
Hey man, that's good times, brother.
It's so disturbing, man. I will not be able to get that imagery out of my head for a while. Oh, you're killing me. Seriously, that's going to take hypnotherapy. Oh,
Michael, I'm going to send you personal messages every day of me in a pink Speedo. Just like, here's your morning coffee. Here's your morning coffee.
Oh, please do not do that, dude. And some people think you look like Brett Favre right now. Oh my gosh, dude. Seriously, bad news.
I'm more like, yeah. Okay,
Brett Favre was a 6'8" Sasquatch, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that works.
That's right. All right, let's jump into it. So we live in strange times. There's a lot of uncertainty. As we broadcast this live, just to set the context, if you're listening to this after the audio episode comes out on Apple Podcasts, as of last night, all of us here on the West Coast, where Michael and you and me and Greg are all located, effectively we just went into I don't know what you call it, head in the sand mode, turtle mode. We're all turtling. We have been ordered to officially turtle in our apartments or houses or condos and not leave except for essential things, which for me, that means a daily trip to the grocery store to get my Starbucks iced coffee in the morning. And if you tell me that's a non-essential trip, I will cut you. So let's start with the mindset a little bit. So I want to know what you're telling your agents. Let's break it down by lead heavy first, then we'll go into buyer heavy. And I want to know what you're telling your coaching clients to do right this second.
Well, start with, before we can even get into lead heavy and all that, what we really need to talk about is mindset, first of all, right? So write this down. Everybody needs to seriously grab a pen and paper. We're gonna throw some things out that you guys need to write down. Number one, control the controllables. We have no control over what the government does. We have no control over what this virus does. There's going to be things that happen in the coming days, weeks, and months that are completely beyond our control. But what we do control is what happens up here. What we do control is what happens between our two ears and how we respond, not react, but respond to what's happening. And I'll tell you that we've had a lot of clients who have had their best month ever this month. They're crushing it. They're taking more listings than ever. They're selling a lot of houses. The people that have chosen to find the opportunity in this are having success. It's interesting. The Japanese word for crisis, for anybody that knows Japanese, there's a kanji that makes up the word crisis. And that kanji is derivative of two kanjis, that one is danger and one is opportunity. 95% of the people in a situation like this can only see the danger. They don't see the opportunity. So here's the next thing I want you to write down. Where there's chaos, there's opportunity. And if there's ever a time that there's chaos, it's right now. This is another one of those black swan events, right? So this happens every 7 to 10 years. It's no surprise. It just happens this time. It's a virus. Last time it was the financial meltdown, whatever. This is the third time I've been through it in real estate. I came in 91 and then, went through 2001 with the 9/11. Then we went through 2007. Now we're going through this. Here's the reality. 6 months from now, this will have been a blip on the radar in terms of, and look, I don't mean to be insensitive, and I know there's people out there, there's some folks that have accused me of being insensitive and all this. It's not that I'm insensitive. Look, I care about people. If anybody really knows me, they know how much I love people. But what you have to understand is, while we want to be compassionate, while we need to be loving and compassionate with the people that are going through challenges with this, we also have a duty to press forward. And that's the message that I want to send right now is everybody's got to buckle down. We got to find the opportunity amidst the chaos, and we got to find ways to find solutions instead of being a bigger part of the problem.
Michael, that's one of the things that I've been thinking about quite a bit. I mean, because there's a movie that I love, and in the movie, the quote was, most people freak out about the problem. The quote is, work the problem. Don't just lose your mind. Work the problem. Look at the solution opportunities. And I was doing that last night, laying in bed, tossing and turning, like a lot of us are, going, holy macaroni, like all of our incomes are potentially going to do this because of, closure of essential assets like escrow companies, banks, so on and so forth, to do mortgages. But, how do you figure it out? And I've made some decisions. I've actually been writing it down on this piece of paper here earlier before the show. And, it actually has given me a lot of clarity, because one thing that, I love this quote, love him or hate him, I don't really care what your opinion is. Tony Robbins, he says, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So right now, what is the opportunity that's happening for you in your life, your career, your environment? Is this Mother Nature, the universe, God, Buddha, whatever your deity is it pushing you towards something that you've always wanted or felt that you should be going towards? Or is it drawing you in to get closer with your family, your kids? What is it doing in a positive light versus the negative light? I know, Michael, you're huge on that.
That's absolutely critical. And, and that's the thing. What you're saying essentially is, look, we got to focus on the positive, guys. And when we do that, there's I don't remember where the scripture was, but there's a scripture that talks about, basically when you're looking at the light, you can't see the shadows, right? And it's really true. If we're 100% focused on the light, the opportunity, the positive things in this, the other stuff will essentially fade by the wayside. And that's where it needs to be. Now, I'm not suggesting that we not be safe. I'm not suggesting that we break, government regulations or anything like that. What I am saying is, within the guidelines, within the regulations, within the mandates, there are things that we can do to continue to move our businesses and our lives forward. And so that's what we've got to be looking at. And if you'll do that, not only will you succeed through this, you'll thrive through this. Look, any financial challenges that are going to come from this are going to be short term. So if you're somebody living paycheck to paycheck and it's month to month for you, yeah, you should be a little bit concerned. But if you've done some planning, if you've set a little bit of money aside, I'm not even talking about a lot of money. If you've just got enough to kind of get by financially during this time, then guess what? You're going to be all right. And especially if you take this opportunity to double down on things like lead generation, lead follow-up, reaching out to your sphere of influence, not to ask them for business, but just to see how they're doing. They'll ask about real estate. You don't have to do that. If you do those things, dude, good things will happen.
Mm-hmm. You know, Michael, there's a funny thing happened last night on my beers and calls. I had my good friend, Aaron Wittenstein, the leader of LGSO, and I had my cohort, my partner in arms, Stefan Andika on. And it was funny because Aaron was on the East Coast while I'm on the West Coast, like the rest of us, except for Gene. And Aaron's like, I want to make calls. I want to make calls. So he started making calls into my marketplace. And so what I saw was two different groups coming together to assist each other. So how can we all work and help market with each other? Because then you can get referral fees on other sides of the country, different parts of the world, and just start working as one united team versus independent players who say we're on a team. It was very unique to see. I was like, oh, this is the first I've ever seen this happen.
The key there was that Aaron took action.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting on the sidelines, watching, worrying, freaking out, he took action. You guys, that's what we can control. No matter what's going on around us, take steps forward. And who knows what those steps are going to be for you. It might take you in different directions, but if you do take steps forward and you look for opportunities to help other people through this, let me tell you, you'll crush it. In 2007, we were doing about, 400 or 500 transactions a year back in 2007 before the market crashed. And when the market crashed, we went from doing 400 or 500 transactions a year to doing 120 to 180 a month. You guys, we exploded. Yeah, we exploded during that period of time. And why was that? Because while everybody else was freaking out, we knuckled down. And to Greg, to your point, I love that quote, and I use it all the time. We worked the problem. We figured out how to work around that problem and how to turn it into a positive solution for how we could grow our business. And it worked. It worked.
It does, because your mindset shifts. And I think, Matt, you said it in one of your past Micro Famous podcasts, but when you're focused on the light, you can't see the dark, didn't you?
No, I did not.
Oh, did you talk about
that phrasing? Yeah. No, I'd love to take credit, but no, I didn't actually.
Who was that?
Well, in that case, it was me.
Yes, it was
maybe.
Gene. Gene, it was you.
Yeah, Gene, you've been going live every day, stepping out and being a leader to the people that are connected to you on social media, which is great. I think you're on day 4 of the challenge.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, day 4. Yeah. Oh, I haven't watched it, seen it.
I haven't watched.
Sorry, I had to stick that bomb in there. Okay.
I want to add on something what Michael was saying and what Greg was saying about Wittenstein. I want to give him a shout out because I think what I liked best about that, the message that I heard, and Greg, you probably remember this. They let me in for a couple minutes to sit with them after Matt jumped out, and I think what I really liked about what Aaron said was he posted on Monday morning. Does anybody else feel really weird about making these cold calls? Like that's his gig, right? He gets up in the morning, 7:45, he fires off and he does live cold calls. That's what he does. And I love the fact that he came out and was so vulnerable about the fact that I am really uncomfortable doing something that I do every single day, but screw it, I'm putting my head down and I'm going to do it anyway. And the vulnerability behind it made me think like, yeah, dude, there's shit out here that I don't want to do, and I feel goofy calling somebody. Maybe they think it's for the wrong reasons. I have the right intentions, but I got to keep moving. There's going to be a day where this is going to shut down. We're going to be able to be back outside, and I'm hoping there's 58 people there waiting for me. The only way that happens is if I'm killing it right now.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that because I've been having this conversation all week as well with, when the plane's going down, what do you got to do, right? If the smoke's filling the cabin and the oxygen masks come down, you put your oxygen mask on first, then you put your kids on. And the reason why is you're not helping anybody out if you're passed out on the floor. Now, that's not selfish. That's not egotistical. It's not self-serving. What it is you putting yourself in a position to be able to help other people. And it's important that right now that we do that. That's like people that have a hang up about money. And there's so many people out there that have hang ups about becoming successful and having wealth because somehow, somewhere, usually in our childhood, someone made us feel bad about money, right? Because we heard all the cliches, money is the root of all evil, and which, by the way, that's not even how the scripture goes. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil, right? Mm-hmm. Or, dirty money, or, all these negative connotations around money. But what we have to understand is money's a means to an end. And I'll tell you what, it's a whole lot easier to help more people when you have millions of dollars than when you have none.
Mm-hmm. 100%. When the whole plane analogy, when he said what's going to happen if the plane's going down, I thought Matt was going to say he's going to grab the last parachute and jump out the door. But I'm glad, Michael, I'm glad you saved that one.
Nice.
Well said, Greg. Thanks. I'm just going to start hitting people and tell them to calm down. Calm down! Just shake them visibly. Calm down! That's my strategy for handling crises.
It'd be like Leslie Nielsen in Airplane.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Thank you. That's such a great movie. Oh, man. I was just thinking about something the other day, and it reminded me of the drinking problem, where he's just like pouring sweat from his face. There's so many that's such a great movie to go back and watch in time like this.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can't let this one go by. Speaking of Leslie Nielsen, we were thinking about, have you ever remember Dead and Loving It?
No. Really?
Oh my gosh,
that's a Leslie Nielsen deep cut.
Oh, you gotta watch Dead and Loving It. Great movie. Okay. It's old school.
Right. I'm gonna look at it right now.
All right. So I don't know how likely it is that the restrictions that are on Californians are coming to the rest of the country. We know that it's in other states like Ohio and New York and stuff like that. Now, whether it gets beyond that, I'm assuming it's going to at some point. I don't know that it'll actually go nationwide, but let's assume that it does. So, Michael, what are you telling people in California where the restrictions are so bad you theoretically can't go take a listing if you really obey the government mandates to the letter? Does that make sense?
So you absolutely can take a listing and still obey the government mandates to the letter. Absolutely. Okay. There's tons of ways to do it. Let's start with this.
All right, let's break it down.
Do your listing appointment virtually. It's not impossible. Okay, I can tell you that I've listed a lot of homes, and we've got a lot of clients that have listed a lot of homes that they've never seen. That's okay. I mean, does it really? Let me ask you this. Virtually every agent on the planet that's worth their salt can look at the tax records and just pull up comps on a property and know within about 3%, based on the condition the seller says it's in, is it in perfect condition, average condition, or rough condition. We can guess within about 3% what that thing's going to sell for, right? So do we really need to go see the property? No. Why do we go see the property? Because that's how we get face-to-face with the seller so that we can close them. That's why, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not necessary to be there to list the house. So what do you do instead? Do it over video. What's really interesting is studies have shown that the brain activity, they've actually done CAT scans on people while they were face-to-face. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say CAT. I don't know if it's CAT scans or MRIs or whatever, but they've measured brain activity when people were face-to-face and when people have done video. And the brain activity over video is almost exactly the same as the brain activity when you're face-to-face. So essentially what they're saying is it's a negligible difference. So do your listing appointments via Skype, or actually do Blue Jeans, because I use Skype and I don't want you guys clogging that stuff up. It's ruined my
Now that was selfish.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, that's funny. And yeah, and I think the thing that we're missing, like when I think about like being on video with Greg versus in person, is I also miss out on the delightful aroma, and that's really for the benefit of all mankind. And so,
you know what's great about that is that if you go back and watch this video and watch that shit ass smirk that's on your face as you say it, 40 seconds before it came out of your mouth, I knew you were cutting them.
Oh yeah, I have to.
It was awesome.
This is the highlight of my week, is coming on and Greg and I picking at each other like brothers. Okay,
it's true. It's true. It's so much fun.
All right, so obviously,
so doubling down, Greg, but I got nothing.
Oh, it's cool, man. It's cool. I mean, I'll give you some stuff offline. Then you use it next time you're on the show.
There you go.
All right, so we know we can take listings. What do you recommend for working with buyers?
Dude, virtual. I mean, we're doing so many virtual showings right now. It's not even funny. I mean, and you can do them all kinds of different platforms. Obviously, there's Zoom, there's Blue Jeans. A lot of people are using Marco Polo. You can go Facebook Live. You can do all kinds of stuff to offer virtual showings. And you can also, another thing, worst comes to worst, let's say you just absolutely can't get into the house. Let's say you're in Oh my gosh, it's the words failing me. What is it when you got to stay in place?
Spider, elephant,
Shelter in
safe
place.
zone.
Quarantine.
What is it?
Yeah,
shelter in place.
Quarantine,
shelter
right?
in
Okay.
place.
Yeah.
Shelter in place. So if you're in a shelter in place and you're not allowed to go out, well, guess what? You could also write up offers subject to interior inspection. Let me tell you something. That's going to become more and more common in the next 30 days, and it's not going to be a big deal for sellers because they're going to say, well, look, nobody can get in here, but this guy's willing to make an offer subject to interior inspection. Great. That's better than no offer.
That's old school. That's back in the 80s. They used to write those up all the time, and subject to interior inspection. Yep. So that's not a new thing. That's just bringing back the old. Well, the classics. We should say the classics, right, Greg?
Playing all the hits. What was the reason they did that more in the 80s? Why did that go away?
I don't know. I didn't get into real estate until the 90s. I was 91 when I started selling real estate. But old man Greg here, he's been around.
Old man McDaniel with my gray hair.
Master.
Well, see, I was talking with Bernice Ross. She and I have been doing some work with Inmans. She's a rock solid cat, dude. She's cool. She always kicks my ass, dude. It's hilarious. But she does it in such a nice way. She's like, Greg, that's not how we do this. I'm like, ugh, I'm getting slapped so hard right now. But I mean, she said when she was the head trainer for a company down in LA, and she was in charge of 4,000 real estate agents and training them and keeping them in line. They were doing $1 billion a month in volume. And she said that she wrote up hundreds and hundreds of properties, just like write the offer for a client that wasn't around. We'll take the offer at it's $500,000, but it's subject to interior inspection because they were just running and gunning. Get your inspector in there. Nah, this ain't gonna work. All right, cancel the contract, move on. Right. But the seller's already invested into it because they've already had an offer on their home. They're already counting those ducats, and so it works out. It could work out really well for your buyers. I mean, if you guys are gonna do it, I mean, might as well start doing 360-degree showings, video conferences. Work with the seller. Show them how to use Zoom without giving it a bad review on their line on how to actually operate the thing. Facebook Lives. There's a ton of different things you can do to show these properties. But anyways, I digress.
Cool. Michael, what do you see as far as lead generation? What are you encouraging people to double down on? Is there anything new or different, or take what they're already doing and just do more of it?
Well, so I'll tell you one of the big opportunities right now, particularly in states like Arizona and other states where iBuyers have been so prevalent here of late. Virtually all the iBuyers have shut off for the time being. Open Doors shut off, Zillow offers, or Instant Offers, Redfin. Basically they've all pulled out for the time being, which presents a really nice opportunity for real estate agents on two levels. One, because iBuyer has become very mainstream. Right, so iBuyer is no longer this new out there concept. Sellers, homeowners all over the country are familiar with it. They're interested in it and they're open to it. And yet, the big institutional iBuyers, because they're such monoliths, it's like trying to turn the Titanic. Right, it's very challenging for them to pivot when these things happen quickly. And whereas agents can pivot very quickly, our agents that are running their own iBuyer programs, which we have a lot of people that are doing their own individual iBuyer programs, they're having great success. Their numbers of inquiries on their iBuyer program has skyrocketed in the last week and a half. And so that's a great opportunity. Online lead traffic is obviously up. It's interesting. I saw a study recently. It was not related to real estate. This was a study outside of real estate. It was a corporate America study, and they were talking about major corporations and how they handle a crisis. And there were three things in particular that struck me that people generally cut in a crisis. So, or I should say, not that they cut, but three things that big corporations, generally speaking, do in a crisis. And it was talking about how wrong they were. Number one is they increase marketing. Number two is they decrease sales, so they'll cut back on sales personnel. And three, they'll decrease on coaching and consulting. And what was interesting is the study showed that those things created the perfect storm for that company to continue to tumble downwards and go out of business. What you should be doing is decreasing marketing or keeping it the same, increasing sales, because think about marketing. Marketing is, I'm going to go out and I'm going to, like if I do Facebook marketing right now, fantastic. That's going to bring me business that's going to close 12 to 24 months from now. Pay-per-click, same thing, 12 to 24 months. Realtor.com, Zillow, that's going to be 3 to 6 months down the road. So that being said, sales activity needs to increase. Sales activity is direct contact. When you make your direct contact, that's today business, right? So whether I'm doing cold calls for sale by owners, expireds, sphere of influence, sign calls, all of that stuff is today business. And so you want to increase that stuff because that will bring you dollars much faster. Granted, the ROI on some of those things, like particularly like with when we talk about Realtor.com and Zillow, who, by the way, just both discounted. Zillow discounted 50% yesterday for the next 2 months. Realtor.com just cut their costs their fees by 60% for the next 30 days. That came out this morning. Yeah, huge, right? So great time to pick up zip codes right now, by the way. And we think that there's a likelihood that they'll both probably see some more price adjustments because this whole thing's going to probably get a little bit worse over the next 30 days. Pretty reasonable to expect that that's going to happen, which is okay. But what you'll see is sources like those will be in a position of needing to offer additional incentives. So you want to increase those activities that bring you today business and kind of just temper what you're doing for long-term business.
So, Michael, a quick question for you on that. So now that we see how much of a margin these companies have, do you think the agents are going to be allowing them to go back to just raping us with their pricing, or be like, hey, bro, like when you needed us, we came in and we supported you. So, I mean, let's say we're paying $20 now and you jack us back up to $60. I mean, homie, don't play that, right?
So I love where your head's at. And I'll tell you why I love what you just said right now, because I think that is – I don't know that I love, and I think from the agent standpoint, I love that they're offering these discounts. I think it's fantastic for the agent community. I'm not sure it was the best move for those companies. And I'll tell you why.
They showed the underbelly.
And as soon as you start discounting your service, you've devalued it. And because what you just said is, oh, now we know they have huge margins. I'll be honest with you, Greg, I'm not sure I agree. I don't know that they have huge margins. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But whether they do or not, the perception now is that they do.
Exactly. So let's say they're breaking even right now, right? But I mean, okay, as an agent, in my mindset, like you're saying, I'm going to go, okay, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, whatever the site is that you're buying your stuff from. Okay, I'll do you a solid when you need cash because this is a rough time for everybody. Everyone's tightening their belt. So are you going to turn around and bite me like a snake when the market goes back to being normal? Or are you going to be like a solid, good homie, good neighbor and just let me ride on those prices because I was stepped in for you? You know? I mean, because it's going to get around. Everyone's going to hear about this stuff.
I'm a free market guy. I'm a real believer in supply and demand, and I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. Okay. I think that you're going to see, first of all, and again, please don't mistake this for me being callous about the health and the safety of human beings. That's I don't want that to become the perception, because it's not the case. Mm-hmm. That said, what is likely to happen, there's going to be a lot more downward pressure, just like there's been downward pressure in a good market. And you think about this, again, it's a 7 to 10 year cycle. In a good market, there's a lot of downward pressure on the real estate agent's commission. In a good market, I'm sorry, in a booming market. In a down market, what happens is the exact opposite. For sale by owner companies historically go out of business in down markets. So all your and I'm not saying that you're gonna lose the Redfins of the world. I'm not saying they're gonna go out of business over this. Though I think they've actually done a pretty good job pivoting during this, and they're turning it into a very good opportunity for themselves. I think you're gonna see good things out of Redfin. But I will say this, that when it comes to providers for real estate, particularly the portals out there, the Realtor.coms, the Zillows, and some of these folks, there's going to be a lot of pressure now on what they charge, because agents, there's not going to be as many agents out there able to buy. The agents that are able to buy are going to be a lot smarter about where they spend their money, because it's the smart agents that are going to have the money to spend. And guess what? That's going to drive costs down. So yeah, I do think that you're going to see a long-term adjustment in pricing for some of these companies.
So here's a real question. I know I'm hogging it, and I apologize. This is just burning in my brain. We have James, the Zillow killer, watching us. I hope he's still here. Good friend of mine, good friend of the show's. Mm-hmm. And he teaches people how to do video, how to basically kill Zillow, kill Realtor.com, kill Trulia, kill all the other lead sources, and do it your own gosh darn self. And Matt, did you catch that? I didn't swear once. That's for Greg.
I was impressed, and I appreciate that. That was very nice of you, Greg. Thank you.
I'm doing it for you, buddy. Homie love. Greg. Greg's got to look out for Greg, okay?
Oh, no, he's got the corona.
I'm looking out for myself because Michael's here. I got to make him look good.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
But seriously,
I'm drinking a nice milk for you, by the way, today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My old man bones are getting so weak and frail.
We need to get you some calcium, that osteoporosis. Just saying.
Oh man, Greg, I'm never letting you live that down. I'm gonna be constantly referencing your old man bones. That's gonna be a part of the show now.
Okay, let's go. So like James the Zillow Killer, like what he's teaching everybody is go out there and create your own videos, be your own ecosystem, right? What do you think in regards to, Michael, when it comes to people maybe taking that approach and saying, well, gosh, these people really are been taking advantage of me. They've been saying one thing, but they've been doing another. They've been saying they're looking out for my best interest, but they're just lining their pockets, But why not just build your own lead generation system?
Did you just tee me up to get on my soapbox? Is that what you just did?
Oh, I would never do that.
Let me tell you, brother, I'm there. First of all, let me start with this. Nobody can take advantage of you unless you let them. Start with that. So, and I don't think that Realtor.com and Zillow are taking advantage of people. What I think is they're taking advantage of an opportunity. I think what they're doing is they're taking advantage of a hole in the marketplace that needed to be filled, and they did a great job of filling it, and we were more than willing to pay them for it. We started the problem, and they figured it out, and they capitalized on it. So that's not their fault. That's our fault. Now, that being said, do I think that that this is going to provide an opportunity for people to learn how to market for themselves? Absolutely. When I sold real estate, so I haven't sold real estate for a number of years now, and I've been focused on coaching for a while now. But when I sold, I had the number one team in the country, and I'll tell you what, I never once bought a buyer lead. Never once. I bought a lot of seller leads, but I never bought buyer leads. And I'll tell you what else I did. I learned how to market. So it wasn't just buying leads. Now, buying leads is great short term. I'll give you an example. Like in today's economy, in today's environment, I will buy Realtor.com or Zillow leads to kind of feed my team as I'm growing my team. Because if all I do is pay-per-click and Facebook and some of those other types of marketing, it's a longer-term lead. When I buy Realtor.com and Zillow, the cash conversion cycle is shorter because they are later in their buying process by the time they come to me. So it gives me short-term opportunity for my agents. That said, as quickly as possible, I want to nurture off of those. I want to wean off of those more expensive leads where the ROI is lower, and I want to ramp up my efforts on the Facebook ads and the pay-per-click and the other things that have much higher ROI but take longer to turn into cash. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Matt, I think Michael should replace me as a co-host. It can be the Eminem show. He's way smarter than me and better looking and better dressed. I retire, accept my resume. Michael, you're now the co-host.
But it's funny because right now that's what's going to happen. You're going to see that some smart agents are out there. They've already started to do their own marketing. It's like the iBuyers. Everybody's like, oh, I got to jump on board and with these iBuyer programs. Okay, that's great, but why don't you start your own? Like 10 years ago, we were all doing guaranteed sale. Even 20 years ago, we were all doing guaranteed sale. Mm-hmm. And that's all iBuyer is. It's just a spin on guaranteed sale. They just figured out a different way to word it, and it became popular.
It's a really good point. That's exactly what that is, isn't it?
And yet everybody's like, oh my gosh, these iBuyers. And nobody's thinking, how can I just be an iBuyer? Why do I have to go through these guys? Why not just be your own iBuyer, guys? And nobody said you have to buy it 97 cents on the dollar. There's a reason those guys are shut down right now, right? Because you can't be buying for 97 cents on the dollar right now. But I tell you what, back in the day, we were offering 60, 65 cents on the dollar. And guess what? Did we buy a lot of houses? I didn't. I bought a lot of rental properties. I didn't do a lot of flips. I didn't believe in flips, but that wasn't a good model for me. But I'll tell you what I did do. I listed a boatload of houses because I had that guaranteed sale program back in the day.
See, this is what I love, Michael, is the fact that you're bringing up things that have been proven and tried and tested in the line of battle. That just because of the way the news cycles work, they've just been washed to the back of the bus, right? And you can always go back. Well, my dad, Michael, how long have you been selling?
Since '91.
Since '91.
Well, selling real estate since '91, but since I could talk, I've been selling my parents on one thing or another. So.
My dad's got a whole huge. Remember Howard Britton and Star Power? Remember that?
I loved Howard Britton. I was so sad when he died, and the new guy took over, just destroyed it. That was a great organization. He was a saint.
He's the only man that could make 3,000 people get out of their seats dancing in front of them in Tevas. That man was a legend. And we have all of his old books. My dad was we were coached personally by Howard for a while. Yeah. And you know what? I bet you anything there's just absolute platinum, diamond-coated, encrusted pieces of gold in there with, simple, just more modern twists on them. I mean, If you could pick one other thing that people could go back into the archives of their brains or talk to their older brokers that have been around for longer than they have, or maybe reach out to you to do some coaching and consulting, what would be one thing to be like, hey guys, here's something that you probably haven't thought of, like you just talked about the iBuyer, it's just been rebranded. What's something else that might be out there that's hitting us in the face?
Nobody believes me when I say this. Everybody flips out. Nobody
You
wants
liar! Liar! I don't
know, right?
believe
That's
you.
exactly what I hear. Everybody wants to go contrarian with me on this. I want you to think about Warren Buffett. And what does he say? When people are cautious, I'm greedy. When people are greedy, I'm cautious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that served me really well, and every single time we've had a shift like this, I've come out way better than I went into it. And part of that's luck, I'll admit, but honestly, I think a lot of it is that I've done the opposite of what I think most people are doing. So right now, everybody's talking online. Okay, I get that. But you know what else people are doing right now? They're not just cocooning up in their houses. They're out riding bikes. They're out going for hikes. They're out taking a drive. They're just not in public places now. So let me tell you what you're going to see a lot more of, I think. I think we're going to see a resurgence. And by the way, it never went away entirely. And in fact, a lot of people think that this next thing went away, but it didn't. In fact, it's been a great lead source for a very long time. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Not until you tell us.
Sign calls.
Ooh.
I'm not kidding you, dude. Having flyers on every freaking sign out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
You will get like up until this point, right? For the last 10 years, for the last 20 years, frankly, even with all the new Zillows and Realtor.coms and all this other stuff out there, we've still seen between 1.5 and 2.5 sign calls per sign per week when the signs are done right. There was a time when I had 750 signs in the ground. I had 750 listings in active and pending signs. I was getting 6,352 sign calls a month.
Oh my God!
I'm telling you guys, the stats don't lie. But now you got to set it up properly, right? There's a way you have to do it, but when you do it right, and it's not hard and it's not expensive, but when you do it right, that is by far the only lead source that's better than a sign call is a referral. It's the only lead source that's better than a sign call. And I think that people that do it right are going to see a resurgence in sign calls because people right now, especially as the weather gets nicer, people, they're getting out there. You made a point earlier, I think, Greg, you were the one that made it, that people a lot of time, with a lot of what's going on now, they're finding some of that opportunity back with their families. I can't tell you, I've been sitting out in front of my office here the last couple of days. I've been sitting in my office looking out the window, and I can't tell you the number of families I've seen riding bikes down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Blows me away. Tons.
You know, here's an idea. You got an office set up right there. Why don't you offer out hand sanitizers in little bottles with your brand on it? Why don't you go get Clorox wipes and say, hey, guys, want to wipe down your handlebars? Here, come on over here. You know, there's just 1,000 things you could do to just really stand out from the crowd. And you know, it's just, again, it's working the problem, right? It's just working the problem. You know, when it comes to sign calls, I got a $5 million listing, right? And so I didn't want to go with like one little tinky little sign. I went with like a friggin' billboard in front of this damn house.
Smart.
And it's like 6-7 foot wide, 6-7 foot tall. I mean, all bright red. I mean, you have to be blind, deaf, and dumb not to see this when you're driving by. And you know what? I got a guy down the street that I used to drink beer with 15 years ago. I didn't even know he lived on the street. Called me up. Hey, Greg, it's Jason. Nice to see you. Can you come over and take a look at my $2.8 million home? I want to sell it. I'm like, I'm on the way. Let's go.
Yep.
And it was from a sign calls.
That's right.
100%.
Which I'll tell you a little secret about. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just gonna along the lines of being being a solution to people. Like Greg Hellickson recommended a really great book called "Be the Solution." It's one that he ran across years ago. I've got that. It's a really, in terms of mindset, it is a really, really great book to get your mind right when stuff like this goes on, because all the things that you mentioned are ways to be the solution for your prospects, your clients, your database. And so it's just a great perspective to look at the world through that lens of how can I be the solution for other people. So I just wanted to mention that. Go grab that book.
That's awesome. That's huge. Yeah. And you know, it's interesting. You talk about some of this old school stuff working, you know, you'd be surprised at how it works best. Like when we talk about the signs, do you know that 60% of my sign calls came from the back of the flyer? 60%. Huh? Yeah. So we would.
What's on the back of the flyer?
We put 30 other listings on the back of the flyer, but we omit key information.
I forgot about that.
So we omit key information. We'll leave off of what we call the fatal four. That's bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and price. We never, ever, ever market bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, or price. And everybody always complains, oh, but if you don't put that on there, nobody's going to call. No, quite the contrary. When you leave that off, everybody calls. We have data to prove it. The numbers don't lie. Like, the data shows that more people call when you leave that off than they do if you don't.
So, Michael, you know what? You totally reminded me about something that I forgot that we used to do. We used to take, because think about it, your flyer, you have 100% of real estate. You have the front 50% of real estate, back 50% of real estate, right? Everyone leaves the back 50% completely vacant. So you can go, if you don't have other listings you can market all your past listings, right? Or get permission, you can market your office's other active listings. Or you can go get a coupon from a local eatery or local business and slap 2 of those bad boys on there and charge them a couple of bucks to put it on there, and people are going to take the flyer and they're going to be able to access it. I mean, you have so much opportunity there. And that right there, Michael, I think that could be the takeaway of the day, because it's free. It's basically free. It's easy, and it gives you the opportunity to network with your other real estate agents, or your other local businesses in the area, or just highlight how awesome you are and how much your team or you are producing, and what kind of returns you're giving for your clients.
You'd be surprised how many people reach out to you on those. They really do. So I'll tell you, there's a couple more. Before I go into I want to give you one more for right now. But if you guys are okay with it toward the end of the call, if the audience wants,
do it now. I was going to prompt you to do it now. Tell them about the giveaway. Yeah, before we give the one last thing. Yeah, give them the place to go and get all 31.
Am I able to share my screen? Can I do that?
Yeah. Up at the top, there's just that desktop monitor icon. That's your share your screen
monitor
button.
Icon. Share screen. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Microsoft PowerPoint. Let's see how this works. Let's see if it's going to do what I need to do here. We'll pull it up. Can you see my PowerPoint? Hold on.
Almost.
See a blue blank screen. It might be loading.
I'm seeing your Blue Jeans screen here. Hold on.
I
know, right? Here we go. There it is. Can you see that?
Yes. Now we see it. There we go.
Okay. All right. So check this out. So I'll give everybody that's watching right now, I'll give you 2 options. If you use the word Club Wealth to that number on the screen, 727-287-5993. I'll give it to you again, 727-287-5993. Text the word Club Wealth to it. If you do it right this minute, so if everybody that does this, whether you're listening to it on the podcast or whatever, I'll give you 17 of my best lead sources. The people that do this right now that are watching it live, if you'll do it right now while we're live, I'll give you 31 if you do it before we wrap up. And it's free. It's what it is. It's going to take you to a video, and it's going to take you to a list. You can get the whole list of we have about 109 lead sources we recommend to our clients. This is 17 of the best ones, 31 if you guys do it right now. Now, that being said, I want to share another one with you that's a very, I think, unutilized or underutilized source that I've got people everywhere from tier 1 on up to tier 7 using. Tier 1 is people that do 0 to 25 transactions a year. Tier 7 is people doing over 1,000 transactions a year. I got everybody in between as well. Yeah, I mean, dude, our typical client does just over 200 transactions a year. But I want to share this with you. One of the tools that so many of them are using that's crushing it for them right now, and all in, the platform cost as well as the cost of the actual ad spend is under $100 a month, and they're destroying it with this right now. And it's listings to leads. It is phenomenal. It's $40 a month, and your ad spend on top of that brings you to just under $100 a month, and you can absolutely drive more leads than you can imagine. We get a discount with those guys at clubwealth.com/L2L. But dude, here's really what the bottom line is, you guys. There's so many great lead sources out there that don't cost a lot of money. A lot of them are free. A lot of them are referral fee based. There's no excuse not to be driving more leads right now than you ever have before. The key is going to be pick up the freaking phone, follow up with it. The fortune's in the follow up. And speaking of that, do we have time? Can I share one more idea?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so again, you guys text 727-287-5993 with the words Club Wealth. It's 2 words, Club Wealth. Text that right now, and we'll send you those lead sources. But here's what I want to share with you guys: sphere of influence. The biggest mistake I see people making right now, or one of the biggest mistakes I see people making right now, is they're calling their sphere of influence and they're asking them for referrals. That is the dumbest freaking thing you can do. All you're doing is saying to all your people out there that you are self-serving and don't care about them. That's literally all I do. Like if you called me up right now and said, "Hey, Michael," if you were, and you said, "How are you doing?" Blah 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 blah, and then toward the end of the conversation, you hit me with, "Oh, by the way, if you were buying or selling a home or had a friend or family member who was, do you have a realtor you'd refer them to?" Yeah, that's the last time we're probably going to ever talk, because I know that the only reason you called me was to get me to send you business. Instead, what everybody should be doing is call your sphere of influence. Call every single person in your sphere of influence right now, today, this weekend, Monday. Call every one of them and just ask them how they're doing. Do you need a roll of toilet paper? How you doing? Are you safe? Blah, blah. How's your business doing? And guess what? Virtually all of them will ask you about real estate. You don't have to bring them. They will.
I have a quick, Matt, why don't you share that wonderful little Facebook Messenger hack that you found, and that might be able to save some time, and it would be right in line with what Michael's talking about.
So I did this when we launched the Kindle version of the Microfamous book. Is I recorded an audio message for two very specific groups of people, and it was just a really raw, authentic kind of voice message. I sent it to myself first. It wasn't personalized with any particular's name on it, but it sounded like it was just a one-off message to an individual person. I recorded that message to myself in Facebook Messenger, and then next to that message, once it's received, there's a little icon where you can hit forward, and you can forward that to individual people in your Messenger list, in your address book, basically, your friends list on Facebook. And to them, it looks as if it was just a one-off message sent from you to them, and they receive that audio message. So it's a great way, like if you record something, to just check in with people, and you're going to say essentially the same thing to your neighbor Bob as what you'd say to a lead you talked to 3 months ago about their home purchase or home search. Record that message once so it sounds like it would apply to both of them. Send it to yourself, and then go into your Facebook friends and send it to whoever it applies to. And I did it, I think probably hit 50 total people that were all, like people that I had been in communication with about the book. I noticed no penalties from Facebook or anything about forwarding that same voice message to, 40, 50 different people. So that's a pretty good little hack.
I feel duped right now. I was one of these 50 people, and I thought that was direct to me. I feel absolutely.
Did you really?
Yeah. No. Listen.
Does it help that I thought about Eugene while I recorded it? I thought
yes,
of you.
It does. Actually, yeah. But okay, but I will say this though. I'm in the business, so I know the tricks. So automatically I think about it because you didn't say my name. I thought about that, but it was really well done. I could see why people would be like, "Oh, that was so cool."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's awesome.
So if you do it authentically, it can get away with it.
So I would say this. I love what you did there. I would suggest this. That is additional to what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Right. So I wouldn't do that in lieu of making the phone call. I would do that additionally to making the phone call. And the reason I say that is the purpose behind the phone call is to have the conversation, to make it a two-way conversation, because you want them to ask you, how are things going? You want them to tell you, hey, you know what? We may need to sell. We're thinking that we may be at the top of the market. We want to get this thing on the market right away. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of panic selling going on right now, which is great because there's low inventory on the market. It's a great time for people to be putting their stuff on the market right now. So
that brings up a really good question. Michael, we're going to have you back on kind of when this thing kind of starts to peter out a little bit. Then we can kind of look at kind of like where this whole phenomenon went, and then be able to get more people. You say, okay, guys, remember what we told you in the beginning of this, air quotes pandemic. Now we're nearing the tail end of this. Okay, now there's your next steps to re-engage, so you don't lose the connections that you've already made through this, because you were so good during this, because you were like locked up like a tiger in the zoo. Now you're out free, roaming around, looking for something to hunt and eat. Now we got to make sure you don't do it so aggressively, you scare everybody away. Guys, I think that could be a big problem down the road. There's like, oh my God, another human.
Well, and here's the thing. You're right about, we want to be aggressive with the process, but never with people, right? Mm-hmm. So with our daily schedule, with our activity, with the things that we do, we want to be aggressive with that. We want to go after this like it's urgent, like there needs to be urgency in our work. But when we work with the people, we need to be very compassionate. We need to be very authentic. We need to operate at their speed, not at ours.
Yeah, no, and that's something we have to keep in mind, 100%.
All right. Now, Michael, if somebody wants to get into the Club Wealth world and get around your mentality, your mindset, the other people that are in your world that share that same approach, how do people do it?
I'd jump into our Facebook group. Go to facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth. Again, it's facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth, or just jump on our website, clubwealth.com. And, tons and tons of free videos on there. We have lots of deep, when we do a video on a topic, we don't give a teaser video and just tease out a little information and hope that, we can get people to opt in that way. What we do is we go deep on it. If we're going to, for example, we've got one on there, that talks about massive open houses, which, last week was a hit. This week, who knows? We'll see. But but we don't just, tease it out there. We give you everything. We give you that, how are we getting 150 people out to open houses? It's funny because we had two different clients. One had a 70-person open house last week, and one had a 150-person open house last week.
Damn,
crazy,
really?
Right? Yes, they had people waiting in their cars. So they had hand sanitizer in the whole 9 yards waiting at the door, and they had people waiting in their cars for their turn to come in because they didn't want to bring them all in at one time. It was crazy, right?
That is.
But they just, they blew it up. And anyway, long story short, we get a whole video on there of exactly how to do it, a checklist that you follow, and it's like that for every kind of topic in real estate you can imagine, and it's free. Just go to the website and get it.
That's what I love about you, man. You got the greatest heart in the coaching industry. A lot of people are just want to just take. You give, and that philosophy comes back to then everybody will want to give back to you because you gave to them first without asking anything. Law of reciprocity. And I love the fact that your agents did their velvet rope approach. When it comes to the open houses, like when the clubs in LA originally put the velvet rope up when there's no one in the bar, but it made it look like everyone's in the bar. It's everyone lined up out the front door. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
it's a really cool thing. Sorry, we're at capacity. We're at capacity. No. Wait in your car. All right, line 2, come in. All right, Matt.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's wrap things up, and then we've got to let Michael go. Gene, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
So GeneVolpe.com, as is per the norm. These days, if you want to take a look at what Matt was talking about before, that's search for on Facebook #ChallengeToLead, and every day I'm throwing out a video for 30 days, and if you know me well, it's on the optimistic side. Last night I shared some things about some gaming that's going on. We have an entertainment company near us. Let me tell you about this stuff real quick. There's an entertainment company near us that does like Quizos. Like bar Quizos.
Okay.
And they go around. You don't know what that is, Quizzo?
No, should I?
So it's a game where you go out. You can go to a bar. They have it for functions at school, where it's basically trivia. But it's broken up into different areas, and you can win prizes and all this stuff. So a local company, right from my area, is doing these Family Night Quizzo games via Facebook live stream. And the other night they had a solid 300 people watching their live video while they read off the questions and people played. It was just for fun. There was a bunch of families in it. There was a live stream thing going. But I will tell you that. I'll tell you what. I know who they are. I know that they do fundraisers, and when I'm ready to put on my fundraiser, guess who I'm calling?
That's freaking cool.
Really, it was really fun. They're doing it again tomorrow night, I think, and it was me, my wife, and my 2 girls sat around and just argued about the answers, and it was great.
That's awesome.
So GeneVolpe.com or #ChallengeToLead on Facebook. Check those things out and hit me up.
Nice.
All right, Gregory, what about you? How do people connect with you?
Guys, go ahead and just reach out to me personally. I do pay my bill on this phone occasionally, so who knows if it's going to ring when you call me. But go ahead and call me or shoot me a text, 925-915-1978. If you guys have any questions, thoughts, theories, or concerns about EXP and kind of how that's dynamically shifting, kind of if it's the right fit for you, I'd love to talk with you. I talk with people every week, and some people I say it's not the right fit. Some people I say this is the right fit. So if you guys want to have just a straight-up conversation, no strings attached, there it is. If you guys just want to talk about marketing or anything I can do to help you, or if you just want a swift kick in the nuts, I'm here for that too. So that's why Matt tunes in every Friday. He looks so intrigued.
I do.
Right
I
now.
get all of my life advice from Greg. It's like getting a free coaching call every week. That's how I make it through the weekend. All right, and then for me, guys, so I just dropped an episode of the Microfamous podcast called 5 Ways to Come Out of the Coronavirus Scare with a Stronger Business. So grab that. Just go to microfamouspodcast.com, and then the book is also available. Go to microfamousbook.com. It is free plus shipping. It's got all the information is there at microfamousbook.com. So if you have some downtime, you've got a podcast and a book to read, all about how to become famously influential to the right people. Because as one of my buddies put it, I'd rather be relevant. What did he say? I'd rather matter to 1,000 people than be irrelevant to 1 billion. That was a pretty good way to put it. I like that. All right.
Oh, that's
so
a good one.
with that being said, gentlemen.
Pick
Gene,
a color.
and also Gene, and also Greg.
Hey! You respect my authority!
I know, I got to get it. One and last dig in. Thanks, guys. Michael, this is fantastic. I know people got a ton of value out of it, not only just the energy, but also the very practical, actionable stuff. I hope they take advantage of the 31 lead generation ideas. So make sure to go back and listen to that. If you haven't got that yet, text Club Wealth to the number, as Michael mentioned earlier, and get that for you.
I did it.
I did it.
Yeah, you did?
Right on.
All right, good.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
All right.
And
thanks, Michael. We appreciate it. Greg, should we wrap things up?
Yeah, man. Pick a color, bro. Do your job.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Let's go with a forest green. I mean, like a Jaguar XJ12 forest green.
I don't think anybody over here has been hunting for cars. Good Lord. I mean, that's like car breath right there.
That's right. Let's tie a forest green bow around this episode. Call it good.
Forest green bow, Jaguar XJ deep green. I would just call it money. But sure. All right, guys. We appreciate it. We love you. Guys, go ahead and get a hold of Michael. Get into Club Wealth. Incredible wealth of knowledge he is. Not to use that as a pun, but he is an awesome human being. Gene, you're amazing. Matt, you're a legend. Without you guys, we would not exist. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. Send this out to anyone you think could use this. And also give us a 5-star review on iTunes. It always helps us. But until next time, people. Peace out, ninjas. We're going.